Hello, this is Cameron Maynard, and today I'm doing the Week 3 video journal on Chapter 5 of the Ryan and Staten textbook titled Democratizing Documentary and Interactive Social Media Practices. It's a chapter that really focuses on the documentary practices that were used in collaboration with Sant Yala to produce and distribute a 22-minute documentary film called Bomba, The Taste of Knowledge, which was made in 2018. It also talks about democratizing documentary and the making of Bomba, interactive social media practices as cross cultural research, and things like that. It's really another chapter. I mean, in my opinion, it's another chapter that really opened my eyes to the multimedia world and just made me realize even more that, there's so much possibilities and so much involved in the world of multimedia that you can use with your work and use with your journalistic articles and stories that can really enhance them and really make it to where more people could want to read them. There were three things that stood out to me in chapter 5, and one of the lines that stood out to me was they made the mention of bringing the story to new audiences. Using multimedia, in my opinion, like incorporating multimedia elements into a story, that could definitely bring the story to new audiences because I think that more people would be willing to read a story with multimedia elements in it as opposed to a story that didn't have multimedia elements in it at all. So that's a way that it could potentially bring the story to new audiences, and that's something that I can keep in mind as my journalism career rolls on. The second thing is that they mentioned in the chapter that this person named Brian said Sant Yala's story cannot be expressed fully through words, and that really stood out to me because reading an article or a story that just has words in it and no multimedia elements, it can seem kind of dry sometimes, and it can, seem like you're not really getting, I guess, the full experience of reading a journalism story without multimedia elements. So, sometimes the story may have to be expressed with forms of video or forms of audio or data charts or, just some form of multimedia. And I think that's what that person named Brian was trying to hint at there. And there was another thing that stood out that said, and this is what the line said in the story or in the chapter. It said, partnering with Brian to produce a documentary about Sant Yala challenged them to do things like think through the limitations and creative potential that different mediums provide, gave opportunities to communicate with diverse audiences in various formats. And, those things really stood out to me as well. Those diverse audiences, they crave good stories, they crave good journalism, and they want to, I'm sure they want to communicate with journalists in various formats through multimedia, stuff like that. And I feel like taking every measure possible to make sure you put out a good multimedia story with good multimedia elements. Those opportunities, I feel like, if you do that, more opportunities to communicate with diverse audiences in various formats will keep on coming. And, that can only improve your journalism career as time goes on, I feel like. So, the last three lines from that chapter that I mentioned, that's how I can really make a connection with how this can improve my work in the future and in this class. And I'm really looking forward to learning more about multimedia as this class goes on.